Hey, this is BJ. Thanks for listening to our show's podcast. If you're a fan of all things geeky, you should check out my other podcast, BJ Shea's Geek Nation. We have new episodes every day, and you can check it out at bjgeeknation.com.
Your driver's license is important so you can get back and forth to work, get your kids to school, and back and forth to daycare. If your license has been suspended because you can't pay your tickets, you can't do any of those things. Let's talk about Chapter 13 bankruptcy. You may have heard the tickets cannot be discharged, but they can be dealt with in a Chapter 13 case. Why not come in for a free consultation? The chapter you choose will make all the difference to your getting back, legally, on the road. Let's design a plan to pay off your tickets and restore your license immediately. I'm attorney Travis Gagne. Please contact me today at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com.
99.9 KISW, The Rock of Seattle. This next story, because of my background doing stand-up comedy, I don't know how I feel about this. Pete Davidson, you know, from SNL, he left a Connecticut comedy club before performing because the owner referred to his former girlfriends, Kate Beckinsale and Ariana Grande, while introducing him. The owner said that he was told to caution the crowd not to heckle Pete about the women. Why would you even bring it up? Because people are going to heckle.
The reason, I think, is because at some point somebody yelled out, I think Ariana Grande's name or Mac Miller, you know, obviously with all the stuff that happened with him. And Pete had a little bit of a, you know, he kind of just lost his mind on stage and went off, and I think he even walked off. But like, he's had some issues in the past where like this caused him to melt down. So,
jeez, dude, what are you doing comedy for if you can't handle heckling like that? You know people are going to heckle.
Right. I mean, look, I'm not someone that wants to beat up on a guy if he's having a tough go on things, but like, you have made a career on beating on people. With Weekend Update. Like, all you do is crap on celebrities.
That's true.
That's your career. So now you don't like it when other people are making fun of you. That seems a little...
Yeah.
Look, man, you got to give it and take it.
And he didn't, I guess Pete left because he didn't like the way that the owner talked about the folks not heckling him. He thought it was done very sarcastically. And Pete also claims the owner asked to open for him and was denied, but the owner opened anyway. I can understand why that would piss off a comic, because sometimes the owners of the club, you're like, dude, I don't want you opening for me. You're going to ruin this crowd.
Yeah.
I know what that's like.
Part of me is like, when I read this story, I'm like, I don't like either one of these guys.
Yeah.
Like, Pete Davidson annoys me, and this club owner seems to annoy me as well.
Yeah, his name is Vinny Brand. That's the club owner. Pete did post this apology video on Instagram immediately after he bailed on the show.
Hey guys in Connecticut, I'm sorry that we had to leave the show before I got to go on. The owner, Vinny Brand, disrespected me and did something that I told him not to do, and I can't, perform under those circumstances. However, everybody who got tickets to that show, I am doing a free show for you guys. We'll figure out where it's going to be in the next week, and we'll get it all sorted out. Sorry again. This is not your fault. Later.
Thanks, buddy. This makes me like him even less. Like, sorry, fans. This isn't your fault, because it's always your fault when I get into like a little bit of a hissy fit.
Steve, is it just because you and I don't understand that this is how things are done today? Because I did stand-up comedy. Granted, I'm not anywhere near what Pete Davidson was, but the show must go on. You don't leave the stage just because somebody doesn't do what you like. You got to deal with it.
I mean, you address it with that person, but why are you punishing the crowd unless this is like your thing? Because, I mean, it was... Somebody yelled out the name Mac Miller in one of his sets, and he had that guy kicked out, and that was like a big story. And then I didn't know about this one, but apparently he booted someone at his show who was wearing an Ariana Grande shirt and called that person an a-hole and an idiot in front of the crowd.
Wow.
I mean, he seems very sensitive.
Yeah. I mean, dude, look, you were lucky enough to be able to date these people, and sure, it didn't work out. Sure, it sucks, but you're a public figure. What are you doing in being a public figure if you can't handle, which I think is normal trolling? It sucks, but I mean, it happens at a comedy club. People are trolls at a comedy club.
But you're a public figure who makes fun of other public figures.
There's that, too.
You gotta deal with it, man.
Yeah. Well, the crowd was not happy with Pete Davidson. They really weren't. And then Vinny Brand, who's the owner of this club called the Stress Factory, he played Pete's Instagram video on a big screen in the club to the audience.
Which is pretty funny that they had that all hooked up, ready to go as soon as they saw the Instagram video, like pop it up on the big screen so that people understand why Pete Davidson is not showing up.
And the crowd, like I said, they weren't too happy with Pete. Then Vinny explained his side of the story, saying that Pete's security told him to say what he said.
And, perform under those circumstances. Everybody who got tickets to the show, I'm doing a free show for
so hard. And I went back in that room and I asked you what you wanted.
Wow. Did he just cut a wrestling promo?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it.
Gosh.
Yeah, well, I don't know why I'm bothered by the fact that he called the patrons, but I don't know why I'm bothered.
Everyone's a patron out there.
These patrons out here, brother.
Oh, man.
I texted him.
You're Vinny.
I love that. I texted him when things were tough because,
comedy club owners.
You and him are tight.
Yeah, comedy club owners are definitely an unusual breed. We know.
See, they both suck.
Yeah, we know from our own area here, man. We've had comics on our show, and boy, the interactions that we've had with comedy club owners over the years doing this show. Lately, it's been really, really good. But in my early days of doing this show, my God, the comedy owners every city I've been in. So Vinny Brand sounds like he's just like every other comedy owner that I pretty much know.
He sounds douchey.
Yeah,
but I mean, I can understand why he's upset. You paid all this money to have this guy who's popular, and it looks like a pretty full room of people that wanted to see Pete Davidson, and then all of a sudden he has a temper tantrum.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what it was, Steve. It's hard to side with Pete Davidson on this. You're a professional. You're a performer. I think of guys like Jim Norton, and there's just no way Jim Norton would ever leave the stage like that.
I'd make fun of the owner.
Yeah, he'd do something. Yeah. Uh-huh. I mean, but again, Jim comes from a different generation, and I don't want to put Pete Davidson down, but you're right, Steve. I mean, the guy makes fun of people, so how is it you can't take what the same kind of thing that you do?
And I know, some people bring out some points. To be fair, he has some legit mental problems that he's been open about. It's kind of understandable that he couldn't handle the situation at the comedy club. But well,
don't go at the comedy club.
I don't understand. I don't understand this Pete Davidson guy because it just seems like you get these mixed messages about him. It's like, he's battling some stuff, but then has no problem crapping on people who might also be battling some stuff. So I don't understand where is this? How am I supposed to have sympathy for someone who's made a career on clowning on people?
Yeah, you're right, Steve.
It's tough.
It's like a boxer. You're saying, well, the boxer, you should give him a break. He has a hard time, taking hits. Well, then maybe he shouldn't be in the ring at this point or trying to fight people. That's what Pete Davidson does. It's like, Pete, you got to get out of there then. Don't go do comedy shows until you are mentally healthy enough to do these comedy shows. And if you think I'm being insensitive, I did stand-up comedy. It is brutal. There will be hecklers. And if you definitely go on a 10:30 show where people have been drinking, every comic knows you've got to be prepared for the onslaught of stupidity. I had hot dogs thrown at me because they were just drunken idiots that just came in. They weren't even the patrons. They just pulled in and they go, hey.
Patrons, BJ.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, the patrons. Yeah, they just pulled in because they go, oh, here's a restaurant, because the place I was working at wasn't good enough just to be its own comedy show. They had to have a restaurant, and they decided to come over to the comedy side. They didn't care who was on. They didn't care about anything, and they just started throwing the food at me. I mean, but you know what? That was part of the gig. You just know stuff like that happens.
That would have been the greatest comedy show ever if I was there.
Oh, it was such a wonderful time.
Hot dogs.
I love those patrons. They were fantastic.
Man. Is anyone a fan of Pete Davidson on our show? Is anyone?
I actually am, which is why it's a little disturbing to me that I have to sort of side against him, but it's hard not to.
See, he annoyed me when he took shots at that dude that had the politician guy with the one eye.
Yeah.
And I understand that they resolved it, and that was cool. And I thought they resolved it really well on SNL. And I thought the guy did a great job, but that got under my skin about him as it was. But I'm like, I don't know, man. Every news story I hear about this guy, it's just like he seems very entitled. And then someone always throws the mental health stuff to then make you feel bad for being annoyed by this guy.
Yeah, just because you have mental health issues doesn't mean you get to explain away bad behavior. You just can't. You have to remove yourself from situations where you're going to be bad if you have mental health issues, especially if you're aware of them. I can't let Pete Davidson slide on this. If he's aware of his own issues, you can't put yourself in a situation where you're going to F people over then because of your issues. You got to figure it out.
You can't be a jerk to people and then be like, don't be a jerk to me because it hurts my feelings.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah, and I mean, yeah, there's got to be a little thicker skin too. I know that maybe he has mental health issues, but I also know that the thickness of the skin of his generation is not as thick as my generation, not as thick as your generation, Steve, and that also has something to do with it. It's like, dude, I think every when you hear some of the conversations that the Jim Norton crew have, and who's our buddy that comes in, who's also part of the crew?
Rich Voss.
Thank you. Rich Voss, Jim Norton, all of those guys, Colin Quinn, all of those guys are brutal to each other. They and Patrice, when he was still alive, they were all brutal to each other. Because that's just stand-up comedy, and the thing that your skin has to be thick to do that business. I am so surprised that these thin-skinned folks are trying to do stand-up comedy, and we're supposed to deal with it when they get all cry and leave. I just don't. I mean, you need a thick skin to do that job.
I thought it was interesting to see how the crowd reacted. Like they're like, he's playing that video, and the crowd's like, "F him."
Yeah,
I just spent money to see this guy.
I mean, could you see, Bill Burr, walking out like that? No. I'm just trying to think of any modern day comic that would just leave the stage over that. Even Mitch Hedberg, who we know Mitch had problems with some of the local comedy owners, that were,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and still Mitch, Mitch still gave you a show.
He turned it into part of his show. I was there many times when Mitch Hedberg would go off on the club owner it was Giggles back in the day.
Yes, it was, our buddy.
And there was a guy there that was... He was a different type of owner.
Surely was.
Or maybe he was the stereotypical owner, it sounds like. But Mitch would make that part of his routine.
Yeah.
But always would talk. I remember afterwards I would always talk to him, and he'd just be like, would you still want me on your show if I didn't do this club? I'm like, we're not loyal to the club, man. We're loyal to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And so I don't know, Pete. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. And I'm a fan of Pete Davidson. I think I'm the only one on the show who is a fan of Pete Davidson, but it's hard for me to side with him on this.
He was my least favorite part in The Dirt, too.
I actually liked him in The Dirt.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
I thought it was too goofy.
I felt
it's a goofy movie, but I thought his role, he made it more goofy than it should have been.
You don't know the character. I really thought he was really geeky and goofy, but again, I like Pete Davidson, so you might be right, Stephen. I just might be, I'm biased because I like Pete's performance. I think Pete's really talented. That's why this really saddens me. It's like, Pete, you need a mentor to help you out here, buddy. You really do. Somebody that can really help you thicken your skin.
That club owner was his guy who texted him when he was...
Oh, you're right. Hey, if you need any help, hey!
But that's funny you needed to share that.
Yeah, I know. Do you think you'd ever text that guy for help? You know what I'm saying? I don't think I would. Sorry, Vinny. I don't think I want to ask you for help right now. Here's a question. Why would someone intentionally flush their grandparents' ashes? That was a delightful story.
Pete Davidson.
I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you why at 8:17 on The Rock.
BJ and Migs, mornings on The Rock, 99.9 KISW.
99.9 KISW, The Rock of Seattle. This is the kid of the year right here. 33-year-old guy by the name of Thomas from Pittsburgh. He'd been living with his mom last year, but she finally kicked him out in September after he wouldn't stop drinking and smoking the weed. Well, he was so upset that what he did is he grabbed a box with his grandparents' ashes in it and flushed them down the toilet. Okay,
this guy sucks.
Yeah.
I don't care how mad you are. You don't do that.
His mom didn't realize what he'd done until February, and then, of course, she called the cops. They ran an investigation, and Thomas was just arrested for 2 counts of abuse of a corpse and 1 count of criminal mischief.
Yeah, I was wondering, what kind of charges do you get for that? Because they're just ashes, but they represent something.
They do, and that's so abuse of a corpse is what they got him with.
Wow. If you mess with that guy in jail, I mean, if you're like, hey, why are you here? I abused a corpse. You know, dude, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, and unless you really know what that means, you're leaving him alone.
Yeah, until you find out, he flushed ashes down the toilet. But just the title itself sounds really vicious.
I'm going to steer away from you, Aaron Necro Nicky. Yeah.
Necro Nicky.
Yeah, I'm going to stay right away from you. Yeah, well, that's a genius of a kid right there. You got to love him. God dang, people are just... Though I did flush my dad's glass eye down the toilet one time. So I guess,
out of spite?
Yeah.
See, then you would be that guy.
Yeah, I was younger, though. I wasn't 33.
How old were you?
I might
32?
have been. No, I might have been at the most in my teens, early teens at the most.
That's still not something you should do as a teenager.
Yeah, so let's say I was 5.
All right.
How did you get it out of his head?
He had multiples. He had backups.
Oh.
It depended on,
Okay.
I mean,
just dug in there while he was sleeping.
That's what I was picturing. I was
Like a grapefruit spoon or something.
Well, he's got his Sunday's best eye, then he's also got his work eye.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got his lounging around eye.
You know what? If you keep talking about my parents this way, I'm going to Pete Davidson off this show.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good Thanks, buddy. Oh, man.
That's just, I mean, I could see you doing stuff out of spite to your family, but flushing somebody's ashes down the toilet, there's no turning back. You can't fix that.
No, you can't.
I mean, you could go get some ashes and then pretend that they're theirs and not tell them, but...
Yeah, you're done.
What is the worst thing you guys have ever done out of spite, either to your family or anybody? Because the only one I can remember was my dad made me mad when I was a kid, and I put salt in his cocktail. And he wasn't happy about that.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame him, because that's a perfectly good cocktail ruined.
Put salt in it. Yeah, I mean, that's right up there with pouring ashes down the toilet, right?
Exactly.
Surely is.
That's like, I'm trying to think when I pissed off, I was pissed off and then I pissed my dad off. I was like 9 or 10.
Steve, you did stupid stuff not out of spite.
I never did it out of spite. I did it out of stupidity.
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Vicky putting salt in a drink is nowhere near urinating in a suit of armor that they had in the house.
But it wasn't done out of spite.
No, that's the thing, is that I don't know what's worse, out of spite or stupidity. Probably spite.
Yeah, because it comes from a place of evil instead of a place of stupidity.
Yeah, my intentions were not bad.
No.
There were no intentions.
Yeah, there were none. Like, what are you thinking, kid?
Never got back at your brother for anything, or
No. I mean, no.
The repercussions are just too much.
If I ever tried, even if I just mouthed off to him, it was just a beat down fest.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just not worth the headache.
the joy of having an older brother.
Or arm ache or leg ache or back ache, depending on what he wanted to do to me. I mean, he was off the handles. So, yeah, I would never really want to even get in. I just wanted to just be left alone. If anything I did out of spite, I just closed my door and played video games and told my family to leave me the F alone.
Yeah, I never heard of the phrase off the handles. Is that like off the rails?
I guess so.
Oh, okay.
I might have just made it up right now.
Okay.
I can't tell you.
He's off the handles,
He's off the handles right here, DJ.
Okay. He's off the refrigerator, that guy.
Look, nothing's done out of spite. Everything's done out of stupidity, including my sayings, BJ.
Good job, buddy.
Sorry. He's off the handles.
Anybody else, Rev or Danny, do anything at all out of spite?
I can't see Danny doing anything to his mom out of spite.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even think of no, I was a good kid.
Well,
I was a good boy.
Aww, mommy's boy.
Best ever.
Oh, the Rev is spite central. I bet he has to have done something.
I was too in fear of my stepdad to really do anything spiteful. He just thought everything I did was spiteful. My existence was spiteful. So it was just one of those where I didn't even deal with it.
Yeah, a pretty aware guy when you think about it, right, Steve? Yeah, I think he's right.
He nailed it.
Yeah, he did.
Thanks.
Yeah.
One time out of spite, but it was my brother that did it, and I was just along for the ride.
Of course you were.
My dad had those. He was just all about his damn shoes, man. He had those things that would stretch the shoes. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, shoe stretchers.
Yeah, but it was such a big deal, and if you touched them, you'd get so pissed off. So you'd never want. So once in a while, we would take them and hide them, and that would piss him off. But then one time, my brother said, "Oh, let's just fill up his shoes with pudding."
You did not do that.
Oh no, I didn't do it, but I was there. I was guilt by association. I helped get the pudding.
Wait,
yeah.
What kind of pudding?
Exactly. Chocolate pudding, of course. It's only pudding you get.
And they were probably nice leather shoes if you needed shoe stretchers, right? Because that's usually what you do.
Well, yeah, I would imagine.
Leather.
Dude, we were kids. I have no idea the price of these shoes, but they were probably nice.
They were probably nice and probably expensive, because a guy probably has one or two pair of good shoes.
I mean, I just thought we were wasting pudding, but I mean, if my brother was down to do it, because my mom would make pudding and put them in these nice little glass cups and put them in the refrigerator.
I know, that's so good.
Homemade pudding, and you just put them in the shoes.
It's probably Jell-O pudding, but still nice.
That's like two strikes
Thanks, BJ.
against
you. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah,
it wasn't my mom was slaving over the kitchen.
Yeah,
see, that's just what I imagined.
I'm just stirring the pudding.
Yeah, that was that was the dessert. That was the preferred dessert of all of us. And they come out with the instant puddings, and my mom never did the Jell-O puddings anymore.
Yeah,
just bought the instant cups.
It was that kind of pudding that had that little film on top of it.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, you're like, that.
I hated the film. Some people dug the film.
Yeah, I didn't like the film.
Yeah, the pudding skin.
Did you just call it pudding skin?
I thought that's what it was
exactly
called.
what it is.
Yeah, but you're right.
Ugh, pudding skin.
I would always pull that off.
Yeah, me too.
Some people like to mix it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the skin. Oh, I guess again, skin on soup or something like that. You just stir it up, and then
of
it's
course,
fine.
what do? Now we eat flan or creme brulee, and we love that skin on top.
Right.
Yeah. So you're right. We should have kept it.
The creme brulee, it's sugar they put on top, and then they just cook it up.
All right, still skin, isn't it? It's
different.
It's sugar skin. So, do you remember what happened when he found out about the pudding in the shoes?
Oh, the belt came off.
Oh, and did you both get it?
Oh, yeah.
But you were like you couldn't argue your way out of that, huh?
No, I tried to scam my way out of it, though. I knew we were going to get our asses beat. Like, it was one of those situations where I was like, okay, this is about to happen. So I grabbed one of those, like, a little book and try to shove it in my pants, thinking that would protect me.
Yeah.
And that my dad wouldn't realize that there's now all of a sudden this outline of a book around my pants.
Nice square ass.
It was like a soft cover of book. So, but it was, maybe the thickness of maybe a quarter inch. And I thought, well, that'll give me enough padding for when the spanking commences. But he's just like, what are you doing? And I had to pull my pants down, and then it was just straight on underwear.
Oh.
So I got it worse. I got it worse than my brother, and he's the one who did it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
God, the old belt days.
Oh, yeah.
Damn. That's just a whole different...
Probably why he always wore his regular, like, his pants and belt around the house, just for those instances where he just needed to have quick access to the belt.
We're talking about this, and there's got to be Generation Z folks listening, and Danny's generation, Vicky's generation. They don't even know what that's about.
What,
like the idea of the belt.
I got the belt all the time.
See,
I
that's
got the belt, the shoe, the spoon, the hand,
the
whatever.
shoe.
Oh yeah.
See, my
La
generation.
chancla.
See, Vicky, you're
What is it called? La chancla?
La chancla, which is usually like the sandal or the house slippers. Like any Mexican kid knows to fear the chancla.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think that, because of your culture, the whole idea of you can't treat your kids that way didn't hit them the same time it hit us. We just couldn't. I couldn't be belting my kids.
Yeah, it wasn't like a frequent thing, but it was. If pudding goes in shoes, it's justified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, it sucks for them now because now I have a weird, spanking fetish. So, joke's on them.
That's disturbing.
Awkward.
Yeah, slightly. Hey, there's
Somebody just said, after hearing about the pudding incident, I hope Tony Baloney beats Steve in wrestling this Friday. Tony Baroni. They're wrestling this Friday at 3-2-1 Battle.
Oh, really?
He's Uncle Daddy.
Oh, okay.
Uncle Daddy versus Miggs.
Oh, Uncle Daddy versus Miggs. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Uncle Daddy is going to get you back for putting in his shoes putting in his shoes.
I didn't put anything in his shoes.
You were there, buddy. You could have stopped it.
There it is. Tony Baroni, Steve Miggs, this Friday.
Look at you pointing like you're mean.
I'm not pointing. It's just my fist.
Oh, that's your fist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you are.
You're pointing your fist, Steve.
You're Fisty McGee over there.
I'm giving him the fist.
Good poster. Oh, don't give Tony the fist.
Don't. No,
I don't think
that's my finisher.
Oh, that's your finisher. Okay, then you showed me doing it too. Great. All right. There's a woman in St. Louis. Her name is Savannah. This is going to give you the feels. Okay? Be ready for some feels on this one.
Okay.
She went to a St. Louis Cardinals game this past Sunday. She didn't even like baseball, but she went. She was there with her family for a Transplant Awareness Day to honor her brother Donovan Bulger, who died in an accident 3 years ago. But because he was an organ donor, he saved several people's lives.
That's awesome.
Savannah and her siblings had just posed for a photo when a woman walked up and asked if they were Donovan's family. It turned out she'd seen the T-shirts they were wearing with his picture on them, and she recognized Donovan because her father got his heart. So this woman's father, 65-year-old John Swamy, had been in heart failure for 5 years before the transplant, and he was also there for Transplant Awareness Day with his family. He had never met anyone in Donovan's family before, so he'd never met anybody who he got the heart from, basically.
Wow.
So there's an emotional video of Savannah and her family members hugging John one by one and listening to his heartbeat because, of course, that's her brother's heart.
That's cool. And that's cool that they were able to spot it from the shirt. It just makes me think of that time when we did something, we did a benefit show for organ transplants, and because of Joel Eggert, who's a friend of Glenn from Windowpane, and also Bruiser Brody, and part of the West Seattle Wrecking Crew, and he died in a motorcycle accident. And his heart it saved a woman, a transplant, and she flew in for the benefit show. So a lot of people and his friends and his family were all like pressed up against the chest to hear the heartbeat because it was super powerful to witness.
Yeah, sure. I can understand.
Yeah. So the fact that she saw the shirt and was able to make that connection, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah, here's a member of the Donovan family, the Bulger family, talking about it.
Neither one of us were expecting it. I could tell he was overwhelmed. I mean, obviously you got this person's heart, it's really crazy feeling. We didn't even get to our seats until I'd say like the fifth inning. A woman walked up to us and said, "Are you Donovan's family?" And we kind of had a confused look, like, yeah, like, who are you? And she just had her demeanor changed, and we're like, okay, something's going on. And she was like, my husband was a recipient of Donovan's heart. It was crazy. That's the closest I've been to my brother since it's happened. His heart is literally beating against my ear right now, and it was a wonderful feeling.
Wow.
That's cool.
That is trippy and cool. It's to me, it's a little haunting, but also I can see how it's cool.
That's comforting.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, seriously, I'm trying to imagine how I'd feel if, like, a dead family member of mine, I'm like, here's a stranger with the heart in there, and I hear the heart. I don't know how I'd react. It's a little weird, a little cool, a little trippy, a little haunting.
Yeah, I think all those feelings probably would hit somebody.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, I know that's a touching story. It's kind of weird to go back to pudding conversations.
Oh, here we go.
But if someone texted in about pudding skin, and they say, pudding skin rocks. I thought my pudding was a failure if I didn't have the skin on top.
Calling it skin.
Yeah, that's the problem. But then again, we do like flan, and flan's similar.
No, you can have flan.
That was the first thing I would do when my mom would make pudding was I would scoop the skin off and then put probably double the amount of whipped cream than pudding.
Yeah, you're not even tasting pudding anymore at that point.
I just want a little pudding with my whipped cream.
Whipped cream or Cool Whip?
Whipped cream.
Oh, I mean, look, whipped cream is good, but Cool Whip is awesome.
Cool Whip's great, but you can't pile it on till like as high, you can't go super high on that stuff.
Oh, you can. It's just
yeah. Did you almost say a bad word? You excited about pudding?
You can. It's just this mound of ridiculousness. Whereas the air and the whipped cream doesn't give you as much of the density.
You can get a lot fancier. With
You can get fancier with whipped cream. You're right about that.
Now I want whipped cream for breakfast.
Oh, I want Cool Whip for breakfast. I used to actually have that. If we were out of ice cream, I would just start eating.
That's what I have for ice cream most of the time.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've had Cool Whip. It's good.
That was our treat. Sometimes just get a cup and just fill it up with whipped cream.
Yep, that's like Lily's 75% of her diet right now.
That's a puppuccino now at Starbucks.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Puppuccino.
What? Why are you laughing?
I don't know. It's just sometimes
That's what it's actually called.
Yeah. No, it's not that. I'm laughing at Steve. That was our treat, man.
It was.
Very excited about it. Yeah.
I know. You look like you were 10 when you said that. We're going to get whipped cream in a cup.
Brings back great memories.
I saw it.
Sounds like Danny enjoyed it as well.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, but Danny didn't have that look on his face like you did. Your look was just like...
Look, it's the simple things in my life that make me happy, BJ.
All right, I got to ask. When you guys have whipped cream in the house, do you always do like the designated squirt in the mouth?
Oh, hell yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, you have to.
What are we talking about?
I feel like it's a rule.
What do you mean? You don't know what? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got to do the whipped cream swirl.
You don't want to open up and just squirt it?
What are we talking about?
Whipped cream.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you got to shake it a little bit first.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you always have to shake.
Yeah.
You gotta get it stiff.
Again, the topic is...
Let it explode in the mouth ski.
Anyway, Steve yesterday wasn't able to figure this one out.
According to mythology, what body part did Odin trade for wisdom?
His dong.
No.
And?
No.
What?
No. How many years? No.
It's hard for me not to know what this, only because I've been watching a show where a guy kept basically calling Odin a one-eyed blank, and called him the C word all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It's pretty, Matt Sweeney's pretty awesome. Anyway, yeah, I is the answer we're looking for. And today's a perfect day for that, actually, because this is Odin's Day. Wednesday.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's what Wednesday's made after. It's after Odin's Day, and then it was shortened to Wednesday.
Oh.
This is actually Odin's Day.
Oh.
Okay. Anyway, you want to beat Steve? 206-421-ROCK. We're playing Beat Miggs at 8:47 on The Rock.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Travis Gagne, bankruptcy attorney. He's here right now and has agreed to answer more of your questions about bankruptcy. How do I know if bankruptcy is going to provide me with relief? What are the steps for my situation?
There's so much information out there about bankruptcy with the internet and what people have heard from friends and other people that they've talked to about their financial issues or bankruptcy. There's also a lot of bad information out there or urban legends about bankruptcy. In order to determine whether bankruptcy makes sense for you, you need to talk to an attorney that's experienced in bankruptcy. So in order to determine whether bankruptcy makes sense for you, you should talk to an experienced bankruptcy attorney. And my job is not to convince you to file bankruptcy. My job is to help you to make that decision and have all the facts so that you can make an informed decision about whether bankruptcy makes sense for you, what benefits it's going to have for you, and what the downside of filing bankruptcy is.
Thanks, Travis. If you have more questions about bankruptcy, you can reach out to Travis anytime at ChooseTheRightChapter.com.